Alongside the Jade, we have gotten 3 new signature weapons, the Cantare or Centaure being one of them, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you guys a fun, strong build for Steel Path where you can just run around, destroy everything, and use the fun, cool new mechanic of this weapon. And if that sounds interesting, well, continue on watching. Now, as I mentioned, the Cantor or Centaur is a secondary thrown weapon. Now, it making it extremely good because I can finally use my Limbo Deluxe skin for this weapon and use the cards. Now, talking stats wise, first of all, here you go, you can see them up on the screen, primarily slash damage, 18% critical chance, 2 times critical multiplier, 22% status chance, pretty good stats all in all. But we are focused on the fun little aspect of this weapon. This is a cool little feature where you have a magazine of 6 basically of these, I guess, cards in my case, and when you throw them they're gonna stick to a surface, and then when they return back they're gonna get an increased flat boost of 300% critical chance, or I guess absolute critical chance, basically meaning a lot of red crits. And of course, if you hit enemies with these flying cards when they fly back to you, they're also gonna give you the Cantor Corel buff, giving you reload speed of 20% for a certain duration for you and your allies, and if you have the Event Song and the Harmony equipped, it's boosted up to 40%. So we're going to be primarily focusing on the actual secondary Old Fire, or I guess the attribute of it being that you gain 300% critical chance, and we're going to turn this weapon into basically a chainsaw. Now, how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to first of all switch to Warframe and use Gauss, and this gameplay I think is much more flattering of the weapon. It is actually really good and fun to use. Now, is it endgame worthy? No, it's definitely not. It's not one of the strongest builds in the world, it's not one of the strongest secondaries in the world, but it has a cool little feature, it does a decent amount of damage, and you actually kill a lot of enemies with this, considering you can get a headshot multiplier as well. And this weapon in general is a pretty fun use weapon for Gauss. Now, I do have energized munitions on here, so keep that in mind, and this is basically what makes this build work, is the 75% flat efficiency. With this, you can use this weapon a lot. If you have a higher magazine capacity, you can basically have an endless chain of daggers and endless chains of red crits. Now, you might be wondering, Gaming Weasel, this all looks amazing, how does the actual build look like? Well, this is the build that we have installed. We have Galvanized Diffusion, Prime Target Cracker, Lethal Thorn, Galvanized Shot, Seeker for Punch Through, Deep Freeze, Pistol Pestilence, and Augur Pact. Now, we have Lethal Momentum as well, and Secondary Merciless. We can change out Augur Pact for Slip Magazine, as I said, more magazine capacity, more cards, even better damage, and or an Expel mod, a primed one preferably if you do have one. I use Augur Pact just and mostly because of Gauss, and that's basically it. You can definitely change that out and make it a flex slot. Now, Seeker helps out a lot, because with Seeker you can basically punch through a lot of enemies, a total of 4 if I'm not mistaken, and you can do a lot of damage with that, and this is what gets a lot of the kills. Now, Energized Munitions makes it even better because you waste less of those daggers, meaning you can throw more, meaning more can come back to you, doing even more damage. Now, primary and melee is not important, you can put anything you want on there. It doesn't really matter, you're doing most of the killing with your secondary. Now, Gauss is very important, and this is what the build looks like. We have Brief Respite, Prime Continuity, Rolling Guard, Constitution, Stretch, Overextended, Equilibrium, Narrow-Minded, and Archon Vitality. We do have Arcane Velocity, giving us more fire rate, which is very good, and of course Arcane Energize and Energized Munitions, as I mentioned earlier. Now, this is not a finished build in any sense. I basically made this build on the top of my head, and I sort of went trying to go for full secondary damage and utility, and this is what I came up with, and this is basically it. That is the Cantor. It is a fun weapon with a fun little gimmick. The damage is not too incredible, as you might see. I'm a little bit struggling with the Acolyte, but it is a fun little weapon to use. Maybe if the damage was just a little bit better, it could be maybe a little bit more useful. But yeah, there you go, the Cantor, Centaur, whatever you want to call it, that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys did, do leave a like, comment down below on what you think of the build. I think it's pretty, cool, fun, I guess you can use it. And yeah, do subscribe for more. I'm always here for content and to help you guys out in your Warframe journey. It's been the Gaming Weasel, over and out.